Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb, Come Fly with AOPA, and this week's show, an early analysis of the tragic mid-air collision at the National Championship Air Races in Reno, threats to two airports out west, and an update on the AOPA Sweepstakes Cessna 170's restoration.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
The air racing and aviation communities are reeling this week after tragedy struck the National Championship Air Races in Reno, Nevada. First place gold medal T6 racer Chris Rushing and second place finisher Nick Macy were killed after their aircraft collided after they had finished their final heat. Now, both pilots were extremely experienced racers, and they both had numerous gold medal wins to their names. Now, the accident occurred on the last day of racing, maybe ever, at Reno. The Reno Air Racing Association had announced back in March that after this year's event, they would be looking for a new venue for the races. Well, AOPA Air Safety Institute Senior Vice President Richard McSpadden provides an early analysis of this midair, and he also shares tips that actually all general aviation pilots can learn from, even those of us who aren't racers.
First, we all know this, we've heard it many times, but the flight's not over until the aircraft is shut down. Now, for most of us, that means, making sure that it's not just over with an approach or with a VFR pattern or a few touch and goes. For these racers, it's a little bit different because their adrenaline has been running at pretty high levels. And so for them, they need to release some of that adrenaline and come down, but not entirely. They've got to keep the vigilance up and make sure they bring it all the way into landing fully aware. Now, the Pylon Racing School reinforces that. All of the racers have to go through this Pylon Racing School to race at Reno. And the racers I talk to, many of them have gone through the Pylon Racing School multiple times. In fact, some of them like to go through it every year that they race just to up their proficiency. And in that racing school, it's reinforced to them the vigilance that the flight is not over until you're shut down in the chocks. Somewhere this flight broke down. The second thing we can learn, especially as event organizers, is anytime we're funneling airplanes into the same location, whether it's a VFR reporting point, an IFR fix, whether it's a runway to come into land or taxiing into a throat in an area, that's always a potential conflict. And we have to think through thoroughly a deconfliction plan and contingencies. Now, Reno Air Race Committee has done this extensively. If you read through their procedures, they're extensive, they're long, the pilots have to be tested on it. They know these procedures very well, and these two pilots would have known them extremely well. So the challenge for Reno is going to be to figure out through all of those procedures and all of the lessons that they had, how did a gap occur to where they could have this kind of conflict and it not go recognized. And then finally, we've mentioned this before, but those belly checks, anytime you're in any kind of extended turn, a mental clock, you need a mental clock running in your head that makes that a little uneasy, to where you roll out and just check your belly or the place that you're about to go belly up to, expecting there to be traffic there and looking for it. Any kind of long extended turn where we stay in the same bank for more than 90 degrees is a cause for alarm and something that we should try to avoid, roll out when we can, and clear the flight path in front of us.
You can watch Richard's full early analysis on the Air Safety Institute's YouTube channel. Just click on the card in the upper right of your screen. We want to send our heartfelt condolences to the friends and families of the pilots who were killed in that midair. Well, on the advocacy front, we have 3 issues to catch you up to date on. The first is in South Dakota, and the state is considering closing Custer State Park Airport in the Black Hills. It doesn't have any based aircraft, no fuel, and it needs to be completely reconstructed. Last year it only had 50 transient operations. So they're asking pilots their thoughts on this possibility of closing the airport. Now, AOPA believes the airport has a lot of potential, especially if it's invested in and planned out properly. So these next two airport issues come from the state of California. The first is Zamperini Field. So the city of Torrance is trying to prohibit many different types of aeronautical activity in order to control noise issues. So AOPA and several general aviation organizations have sent the city a strong legal warning saying that such a move would be preempting federal law. The FAA is the only agency that has the authority to regulate U.S. airspace. The next issue actually brings some good news for California regarding airport hangar leases. So AOPA had worked with this state to clarify how the state had been interpreting the FAA's guidance on hangar leases. They had been interpreting a 50-year limit as a hard cap on hangar leases. And so if you had a hangar lease, for example, and you wanted to renew it 20 years into that 50-year lease, they would only renew it for 30 more years. So AOPA has worked and clarified that. Now, anytime a hangar lease is renegotiated, it'll be treated as a new lease. So you'll have the full 50 years on that new lease. So great news there, especially with all the hangar problems that we're facing across the country and in California. All right, now here are two news stories out of Ohio, where I'm based. Joby Aviation is going to be opening its first scaled aircraft production facility in the Dayton area, actually at Dayton International Airport. So Joby said that the facility will be capable of building 500 electric vertical and takeoff landing aircraft per year, and they expect it to generate 2,000 jobs. Now, the company expects to start construction of the facility in 2024 and have it up and running in 2025. The Dayton area is known as the birthplace of aviation, so it's great that Joby is expanding to there from California to help fuel its growth. Well, another aircraft company moved to the Dayton area to fuel its growth. Advanced Aircraft Company did that 100 years ago. You probably know it as Waco Aircraft Company. This past weekend, they just had a big celebration.
Hi, I'm Nancy Royer, Executive Director of Waco Air Museum, and welcome to Waco's 100th anniversary right here in Troy, Ohio, home of the original Waco factory. This is the 100th anniversary of Waco coming to Troy. In 1923, Waco moved from northern Ohio down to Troy, and they really started selling and manufacturing of the aircraft once they arrived here in Troy. Well, Waco had many firsts in aviation, little things like, well, I guess they're not so little, but the throw-over yoke, but they were in the early 1920s, 1930s, and that was the golden age of aviation, and Waco was the #1 producer of civil aircraft in those years. This event sits just 2 miles from the original factory, and the Waco Historical Society purchased land to create a grass strip runway 2,400 feet long, and the significance is that we have 55 Wacos on the ground here, and to our knowledge, that's the largest gathering of Wacos ever. So while people are here, you can take a ride in a Waco. We have kids' activities on the ground. We have characters walking around, from astronauts to Star Wars characters. People can enjoy the beer garden, they can enjoy food trucks, so there's a lot to do out here. Well, like any pilot, I guess, I love the sound of that radial engine, but I also love the colors. They're fabulous. But after working here for 10 years, just getting to know the history and knowing that these pilots have put in so much work to keep these antique airplanes in the air. It's not cheap to do so. It's not, it takes a lot of fuel. It's expensive to keep up on the planes themselves. So the fact that they're doing this is really a gift to the aviation community.
My family and I were able to fly into Waco Field for the event, and it was so much fun getting to watch the aircraft take off and land and listening to those radio engines. So the Waco field is open 7 days a week to the public, dawn to dusk. You can drop in anytime and visit the Waco Air Museum if you want. The identifier is 1 Whiskey Foxtrot. Well, it's been a while since we've had an update on the AOPA Sweepstakes Cessna 170. It's been in Zephyrhills, Florida, being prepped for paint. AOPA social media marketer Kayla Hunt takes us there to give us a behind-the-scenes look.
I'm here today at Hawk Aircraft Services in Zephyrhills, Florida. I am with the owner, Joe. Joe, you have had the honor/headache maybe of taking care of our AOPA Sweepstakes airplane, the 1953 Cessna 170B. We have given you the job of painting it. So can you give us a little bit of behind the scenes? How's it been going?
It's been going good. The airplane's in good shape. Bought a nice airplane using the Sherman-Williams Skyscape single stage. That's what they wanted to present to it, so it's been fine.
It's been good?
Yeah.
Have there been any headaches or any things that you maybe weren't expecting?
No. Everybody donated all the material. Windows were donated, interiors donated. Craig did all the work with the design, so it's all good.
Excellent. So today is a big day. The paint mask is being laid out. Can you kind of walk us through the importance of the paint mask?
That's the whole design. So without the paint mask that Paul has made for us and that we're going to stick on there, which we'll show you in a little bit, that's the only way we lay them out.
Yeah.
All the mask and the design gets brought in by Craig and Paul.
Excellent. And you've had a big team here working on the project. How many guys do you have here that have been having their hands on it?
Everybody.
Everybody?
All 9 guys have been working on it. And
all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate you being a part of this project. We've had some big time constraints that we've put on you, but you've been a trooper and we appreciate you and the rest of the team here being a part of it.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Craig Barnett of Scheme Designers also came to Florida with me today to check up on the 170. Craig, can you tell everyone what makes this project a little bit more unique than the last?
Absolutely. So we've worked on 24 different sweepstakes projects over the years, and each one we've gotten to try out different types of design based on concepts around the project. This time when AOPA called, it was to tell me that AOPA had decided to use a different designer, in this case Michael Darber, who does illustrations of aircraft for people. And I'd asked to have a look at it, and it was absolutely wonderful. He did such a spectacular job of creating the look and feel of the aircraft and the essence of an off-road Outback 170. So it gave us an interesting opportunity to showcase someone who does such interesting work and then put our technical skills to work drawing up the scheme he designed, maintaining the essence and integrity of his design, and then creating the type of technical data needed to create the paint masks which are being installed today, and to provide the dimensional drawings to install the scheme onto the aircraft.
It's been a lot of fun learning all this today, and someday I'll take it with me when I have the pleasure of hopefully designing my own airplane and painting it someday.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to help with that.
Hey Kayla, thanks for giving us a behind the scenes look at the paint process. So when do you expect the final paint to be all complete on the 170?
Fingers crossed, and everything is always subject to change with this project, but hopefully by the first week in October.
Okay, and then after that is interior left, or is that going to be done simultaneously?
Yeah, so the interior and the paint are actually being done at the same time right there in Zephyrhills.
Okay, awesome. So what's next after that then?
Well, that's it for the 170 restoration. I can't believe it's almost over. We are in the home stretch, but I'm sure that we're just going to fly it around to a couple events and just really enjoy it before giving it away to one very lucky winner in January.
Okay. Well, I know I'm super excited to see the completed project, and I'm sure a lot of our AOPA members are as well. So it's great to know we only have a few more weeks to wait. And then, of course, just a couple months away, somebody is going to be winning it. Hey, if any of you want to know how to enter the AOPA sweepstakes, just click on the card in the upper right of the screen, and that'll take you to our official rules. Now, just drop a comment below and let us know what it is you like best about this AOPA Sweepstakes Cessna 170 project, aside from, of course, winning it here soon. All right, well, that's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. In case you're wondering, my 170 is in for annual right now, so I'm just coming to you from out here at my home base, Fairfield County Airport, out on the ramp. It's a beautiful day. So we leave you with some footage from viewer Luke Weinstein, and it's of twin Aviat Huskies, and they're flying around Rockland, Maine Harbor. Be sure to send in your favorite flying videos. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love to have you join us. Just click on the link at the end of this video to learn more about our trial membership. We'll see you next week.